welcome in. This is going to be a very short tutorial. We're going to pull out a shape which is going to look and pretend in this case to be our energy drink. And the idea is that when you grab the energy drink and pull your index trigger, it's going to give you a speed boost. So we're going to make this the tall can that we all know and I used to love, but I'm sure as heck trying not to. It's actually one of the hardest things. I used to be able to work like 12 hours a day just drinking energy drink after energy drink after energy drink, and now I'm like really exhausted after a 4-hour day. But anyway, so trying not to long for one of those, just being real. And the next thing we want to do is make this into a grouped object. Now this isn't a requirement, but I do find it's nicer because later on I can zoom in the final version of this, and that will be very nice. So I'm going to scale that down. I'm going to scale it nice and skinny. I'm going to copy the position of this. Copy position, scrolling down on my hierarchy, click, and then right click position and paste. Now we get the actual size, and then scale that a little bit further. Now we're going to have our slide tool, slow down, and that's scroll on your, you can see if I scroll down my camera speed changes, scrolling while holding, no, I don't think you have to hold anything, I don't know, oh, right click and then scroll, that's what it is. I'm like, what am I doing to make that happen? Alright, so now we're going to change to rotation, 90 degrees, boop, there we go, starting to look like a can, very good, grab that scale tool one more time, uniform, and skinnier. Alright, and then one little bit of slide. I feel like that kind of represents a can. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Okay, so we're going to select that, and then right click, group selection, and this is our energy drink. Perfect. Okay, so we built our energy drink, and now what we want to do is make it so when you grab this and pull your index trigger, it gives you a speed boost. So we're going to create a script, which is going to be called speed boost, and I might want to create like a Powerup section, so we'll call this Powerup and then underscore entity, because I might build other Powerups and it might be nice to use the same script for all of them. I don't know. It might be good to split them into separates, but anyway, we're just going to go with the one and then 3 dots, open external editor. Back into VS Code we go. Any second now. Any second now. There it is. I'm like, come on now, VS Code. You got this. Alright, that looks good. And allow. And here we are. So the first thing I like to do is delete the import line. I don't like HC dots, so I delete those. Then I backspace the T of component, retyping the T, clicking enter. That will explicitly import component, and I just prefer it to look like this. There's a lot of reasons, but we're not going to get into it today. And so now that we've got this set up, we can now start developing our Powerup. Now, because this is potentially going to have multiple different types of Powerups, we're going to create a section here called what is the Powerup that it enables. And then in this case, it's going to be a speed boost. So you can imagine having a different drink that does something else. And so speed boost is a type of property. That prop type is called a Boolean. So we select it from the list, and then I like to define a default for simple values like this, and the default will be false, and then comma. And now we've got our property set up, control save, and if we head back into Horizon here, once that's finished compiling, you can see that is going yellow, blue, and then it goes away, which means it's compiled. We can then scroll down on the right side of this and attach the script Powerup. There it is. And then once the script has been attached, we have that property we just created, speed boost, which I'll turn on for the energy drink. Alright, so our energy drink has been set up, and now to make it work, it's not too difficult. We need to know when the user pulls their index trigger, so we're going to use pre-start to connect our code block event, and then we need to run speed boost somehow. Now for the sake of this really simple tutorial, I'm going to do it all inside of here. Am I? I really like to keep my scripts as easy and clean as possible, and so I try not to put too much inside of a component script or like component class like this. So what we're going to do is have index trigger down, which is received with a player parameter. So that's of type player. And then curly braces. And we're going to do connect code block event, parentheses, this dot entity is where we want to get, oops, backspace that. And then the code block event that we want is code block events dot index trigger down, there it is, comma. And we match this, or at least I like to match it, it's not required, but index trigger down is going to connect to index trigger down. And you could do on index trigger down for the name of this, you could really make it whatever you want, but I just like to have it without the on. Then we do parentheses, the parameter is player, then we draw an arrow function, curly braces, and then we want to call the local method index trigger down, parentheses, pass the parameter player, semicolon if you like semicolons, and Shift-Alt-F for any automatic formatting. Looks good. And now index trigger down is happening. Sorry, just a sip of tea there. Okay, so we've got this set up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how to do it in this script, and then we're going to break it into a separate script. So if you want to use the utility files that I provide, they're in the description under the assets library, you can do that, but if you don't, we're going to show you how to do it without any assets and just how to write this all on your own. So inside of this component, we're going to call a method speed boost, and we need to know the player that we want to speed boost. That's a type player, and we want to know the duration in milliseconds, which is a number. All right, and so now we have this speed boost, and with that set up, we can then say on index trigger down, if parentheses props dot speed boost, then we're going to call speed boost, and we're going to pass in the player parameter, and we don't know the duration, but let's go ahead and thinking like 10 seconds. 10 seconds seems like a good amount of time, so that's 10 underscore 123. I'm using a magic number here. It'd probably be best to create a property on the properties panel for this, so you can modify it per energy drink. So you could have like the black ones are worth 5, the white ones are worth 10, the blue ones are worth 1 or 2 or something. But for us, we're not doing that. We're just going to keep it real simple. So we got this dot speed boost 10 seconds. Now it's going to call speed boost. And so what speed boost needs to do, the first thing it does is it says player dot speed, locomotion speed dot set parentheses, and the value here is probably going to be like 6.5. I believe 4.5 is the default, so 6.5 should be really fast. And then what we need to do is say async dot set timeout, and after a delay, and so what we want to do is draw another arrow function in here, curly braces, and then comma, the delay goes here, which is the duration in milliseconds, that's the parameter. And then inside the curly braces is where we do setting the speed back, and so we just copy this, Control C, paste it here, Control V, backspace. If I hit Shift Alt F, it's going to reformat a lot of that. There we go. And then we can set the speed back to 4.5, which is the default speed. Let's go ahead and test that out. Clear. And we need to make sure this is grabbable, and we can press the index trigger, so we'll change it to interactive, change it to grabbable, collidables on, that's good. We want to do index down, so that's the primary action icon, which we're going to set to ability. I wonder if there's a speed option. Let's see. Drink. Yeah, drink might be good. And two-handed grab, we're going to turn that off. Well, I don't see any reason to leave it on or off, so I guess it's fine. And okay, cool, that should be good. Go ahead and hit play. Right-click preview from here. All right, there's our speed boost, energy drink. If I click E, you can see, I don't see the drink icon, but if I press left mouse button, am I running faster? Oh yeah, I'm totally running faster. It's hard to tell, and we didn't get rid of it, so there's a few things we still need to do. But let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Soon we should be slowing down. Should be a pretty noticeable slowdown. mean, that's been 10 seconds. Oh, I feel slower now. Okay. Maybe it's not as fast as I would think. Trying to figure that out. Okay, we need to do a little bit more to make sure it's working. So going back to the script, let's do a pop-up at the same time so we can see the duration remaining. So we're going to call pop-up, which is stored inside world. So it's world.ui.show pop-up for player, parentheses, pass in the player, and the text would be something like speed boost, and then colon space, and then the display time, comma, would be the duration in milliseconds divided by 1000, and then the options, we want to do the number timer countdown. Oh, show timer, there it is. Show timer, which we're going to set to true. And that should do the trick. Okay, clear, play, and right-click preview from here. Grab this, press index trigger, speed boost, 10, 9. Okay, yeah, so I'm not even hitting the run button, and I am definitely, I can go even faster. 3, 2, 1. That's just regular, and that's running. And then press speed boost. I feel like I don't notice it. So we're definitely gonna need some sound effects. So let's create a use sound effects colon type colon prop types dot entity. Okay. And this pop-up's gross, but I just want to demo how you could create a pop-up. There are a lot of other properties like size and stuff. I'm going to actually use my pop-up function. And so instead I'm going to call pop-up function, and I'm going to call play pop-up parentheses for the player, which is going to say speed boost. We'll call this a S speed boost exclamation point, and then comma duration is going to be calculated. So we're going to delete this. We're going to say constant math dot floor parentheses duration milliseconds divided by 1000. This is going to be called the duration in seconds equals math.floor. There we go. And I'm going to move some of these things around a little bit. So we get the duration in seconds, then we call locomotion speed, which feels like it needs to be faster. So we'll set it to 8.5, so some actually insane speed. And we're going to play the pop-up, but right here we need to use that duration seconds. So we say duration seconds plus, and then that gives us duration seconds S speed boost. And then duration goes here, so duration seconds, and then comma, and the last bit is cross screen. We need to get that, so we need to know, this is just like for my function, so we say constant player data equals player data map dot get. You can check out the player data player stats video to learn more about this. And now that we have that set up, I can pass in player data dot is cross screens, and we have is npc, so same thing, player data dot is npc, and there we go. So then what I want to do is add a if statement right here, if parentheses player data, then it'll play the pop-up. There we go. And I can remove these question marks. Nice. Okay, so we set their speed to be really fast. We play the pop-up. We set their speed back after the duration. And we need to also play the sound effect. So we're going to go to action utilities, dot play sound effects. And remember, these scripts are available for download on the asset drive folder in the description. Okay, we're going to call props dot use sound effects, and we need a position, which is the current position of the player. So we'll say, or this object. So this dot entity dot position dot get. Probably more accurate. So if they're holding it, they'll hear it there. And then we'll play that for all players so they can all hear it. Control save. There we go. And that's a little bit better, but we still haven't deleted the can. Now I want to use asset spawning, so when the time is right, this is going to be asset spawned in, and we're going to just do delete, and that should be great. And I'm pretty sure we can delete self. So what we might want to do is very quickly just demonstrate asset spawning. So we're going to create an empty object here, move that to this position, copy position, paste. Then we'll slide this over. And this will be the energy, we'll call this the Powerup manager. There we go. And Powerup manager is good to go. We need to create a script for that, so we'll go create script. Powerup manager, entity. Back in VS Code, we can open that up. And this has got one really simple purpose, which is to spawn in the asset. Space the T, retype the T just like before. And so we need to know about the energy drink asset. So we're going to define that here, I suppose is good. So we'll call this the energy drink, which is an asset. So we have energy drink asset equals, and then we'll say new asset if I'm not mistaken, then parentheses, big int, I think I use the capitalized one, and then parentheses, and then we go to our energy drink and create an asset out of this. And so we can say right click, create asset. I'm going to put this into the folder, call this the energy drink version 0.1, and create. Once I'm done with it, I usually update it to version 1, but when I'm in progress like this, I use 0.1, just personal preference. Okay, so now back in the assets, I can open up that folder, selecting the energy drink asset. I can copy this. We're then going to delete this version, and then in the script, I can paste this in, and that will create us an asset that we can spawn. And so on world start, we're going to call world.spawnAsset, parentheses, and then we're going to call energy drink asset, and we need to tell it where, so it's going to be this dot entity dot position dot get, and rotation is going to be quaternion dot 1, which is like a zeroed out value, and scale is going to be vec3 dot 1, which will be just scale of 1. Control save. I think that'll work. Yeah, we'll see what that looks like. I'm a little nervous about the rotation being off. That should be okay. Okay, so go ahead and hit play. And I forgot to attach the script. Classic, classic. I do that all the time. Scroll to the bottom. There it is, Powerup Manager. Attach the script. There we go. Now go ahead and hit play. And there's our energy drink. It's off by 90 degrees. So I have an idea. If we select this, rotate it 90 degrees like that, and then go back into the script and use this dot entity, come on, entity dot rotation dot get. There we go. That should spawn it up right. Okay, and then in Powerup, when the player calls to use the Powerup, we want to despawn it. So right here, when we're playing the sound effect, we're going to call world.deleteAsset, parentheses, this.entity, and that will delete itself. There we go. I'll give that a second to compile. Orange, blue, and then it's done. Go to console. I like to clear all that out. Go ahead and hit play. It spawned in upright. Nice. Jump into preview mode. Got our back entrance here. There's our energy drink. So go ahead and select it. Now I'm going to press the index trigger. I'm going to run as fast as I can. Let's get down onto level ground so it's very clear. And press. Yeah, that was a very clear speed boost. 10-second speed boost pop-up has gone off. And it looks like you get to hold the pop-up for the entire 10 seconds. It's pretty crazy. I didn't hear the sound effect. Oh, I forgot to reference the sound effect. Okay, so it's just worn off. I still feel like I'm running insanely fast. Right? So from here, 1, 2, 3. Now let's switch and go the other way. 1, 2, 3. I'm sure the speed boost is worn off, but 1, 2, 3. I might have to go grab the speed boost and try it again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's get the speed boost and see what that's like. Stop and play. Right click, preview from here. Whoa. There you go, buddy. There we go. Okay. Gotta get that sound effect referenced. And running and running and running. Okay, so we're definitely running as fast as we can. 1, 2. Okay, so yeah, it's 1 second faster from that marker. And I just can't tell when it wears off is the problem. Maybe that's a good thing, I guess. 1, 2. Now I'm confused. I don't see the pop-up, which I thought the pop-up was the... You know what? I have no idea. I'm so perplexed. Okay, clear. Let's go ahead and get that sound effect linked in. To do that, I think I'm going to modify this a little bit. So this is where I'm going to end this. Like, you can totally do, I think this. Let's see, if I go and grab sound, go to boost, and grab something like air boost is probably good. Jet boost large, jet boost medium, jet boost small. Let's see what that sounds like. And that's not bad. We can slow that down using pitch, -8. Try -4. Volume goes up to 0.6. Distance goes down to 35. Maybe go up to, yeah, 35 is good. Okay, we're going to call this speed boost sound effects. Pretty sure you can do this. If we go to assets, right click, edit template definition, we can then scroll down and reference the speed boost sound effect we just added, and then press save, save and publish. Ta-da! Cool. Play. Right click, preview from here. Please spawn into the world. I think that's just kind of like a weird bug when you update an asset. Sometimes it doesn't spawn in right away. Refresh. Let's move this to 0, 0, 0. There we go. Okay, there it is. Right click, preview from here. E. Oh, we accidentally got 2 of them. Oh, we are getting the left mouse button looks like a drink icon now. Okay, we got our 10-second speed boost. I didn't hear the sound effect, which is interesting. That could be that delay, like a leave and come back sort of delay. Play. From here, we'll try it one more time. Yeah, I still don't hear it. So let's see. Just for the sake of argument, copy position, speed boost sound effect, paste. It should be able to move faster than that, but just in the off chance that it can't. Like, it's supposed to move it to the position and play it, but just in the off chance. And hit play. Preview from here. Oh yeah. So it's definitely playing the sound effect, but it's not moving it fast enough. Double check I'm using the move, play sound effect, move to this.entity.position.get. That seems right. Maybe. Let's try. And this has always worked, so that's why I'm like, Let's try using player data dot position, and then I guess we'll move that into here so that there's no question about having a position. Control save. Okay. Clear. Play. I might, if this doesn't work, leave and come back. Okay. Grabbing an energy drink. Running over here. Pressing index trigger. That seemed to have worked. Let's see if we go further away, just to make sure it's not desktop editor weirdness. Maybe from here. Okay, we get 35 meters away. Okay, so I'm going to call the speed boost here. 3, 2, 1. Didn't hear it. Okay. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Very curious. 1, 2, 3. Definitely seems like it's working. It's just like kind of slow. Let's see. Last thought was, why is that sound effect not working? So let's turn to creation home. Leave. Give that a second. I'll take a sip of tea. Go ahead back in. Sometimes it is that simple. Okay. Play. Preview from here. Get a ways away. And nothing. So strange. Okay, so to get this to work better, let's move this back to 0, 0, 0. And maybe, no, because we are hearing the sound effect. I'm like, we're deleting the asset, is that the problem? Oh, it could be, because we get the position of it. Well, we're not doing that position anymore. Okay, so deleting the asset could be problematic. Let's not delete it until after the timeout, but instead, let's say this dot entity dot visible dot set to false. This dot entity dot collidable dot set to false, and this dot entity dot as parentheses grabbable entity dot force release. Okay. I can't imagine that that would cause this to start working, but just in case, we'll call this dot entity dot position dot get. This definitely seems a lot safer. Clear. Get that to compile. And play. And preview. Grab the drink. Okay, so the question is, was deleting the asset preventing the async from completing, and therefore the speed boost never was going off? Hence my confusion. Let's go run past it. Count the time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah. That's a lot slower when you don't have a speed boost. Press speed boost. 1, 2, 3. Come the other way. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3 seconds, right? Okay, I just felt it go off. It's definitely slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Definitely fixed some problems there. I didn't hear the sound effect though. Which is so strange, because I've never had that issue. Like, is this... Are there bugs in other worlds? Yeah, like, is this causing me issues in other worlds where I use that feature all the time? Maybe. Let's do something slightly different. We're going to say props. Let's say if parentheses props dot use sound effects parentheses alt arrow up, arrow down, alt arrow down, and then tab. What we want to type is props use sound effect dot position dot set. And we need to know the position we're going to. So we're going to use this, Control X. We're going to set this position up here. So we're going to say constant use position equals, and then we can say set the position to the use position, and then play sound effects. Use position, Control save. We're going to try this. Does like one line of code cause it to happen fast enough? If that doesn't work, because if we go to the play sound effects inside of the action utilities, it's already doing it that way. Like, it does move the position right here, and then it plays the sound effect. So really, that shouldn't actually do anything. But just in case, we'll give that a shot. Play. Preview. So my last try is to do async dot set timeout parentheses arrow function curly braces comma. We'll give it a delay of 50 milliseconds. Should be plenty, considering there wasn't an issue before. And we'll call play sound effect, and we'll add a space there. Shift Alt F, Control save. I'm really worried that this is broken somewhere in other worlds, but I'm trying to think of something that has that issue in a way that could cause it to be a problem. Play. preview from here. Okay, selected. That time it works. Now let's try it while running. Play. Selected, run, and here we go. Nice. Totally works. Solid. 50 milliseconds is 1/20th of a second. So, totally good. Oh, and it's just worn off. Nice. Cool. Alright. I love the idea that I proposed earlier where we have different versions of this. So one that's, you know, faster. So like just different levels. So let's go ahead and create this to be called speed. And this will be type : prop types dot number, comma, and we were using default of 8.5, and there was one more number which was the duration, so the length in seconds, and that will be a number that's defaulted to 10. There we go. And so now that we got these two values, right here we can call props dot length in seconds multiplied by 1_000 for 1000 milliseconds. And then instead of doing this, we can just use the duration or length in seconds. So right here we're just going to call props dot length in seconds, Control C, Control V, and I think that's everything. Oh, speed. We need to implement speed, which is right here. So no more magic numbers. Props dot speed. Okay. So this all looks good. This goes back after duration milliseconds, which is passed as a parameter. Nice. Okay, cool. All good. All good. So with that all set up, Control Save. I wanted to send a message to Rex using Discord and ask him if he can design a few different cans. And yeah, let's try that. So let's see. I guess I don't mind you seeing what we're working on. Let me see if I can move that into screen. Okay, so we're going to say, hey Rex, exclamation point, just about finished setting up the speed boost power up for the energy drinks. Great news. It has some properties that allow us to make lots of different types of speed boosts. Here are some ideas open to your suggestions as well. Okay, so standard energy drink and colon. So it's a 10-second boost, 8.5 meters per second. And then super can. Just copy that, Control C, Control V, backspace. And then we could do this for like 20 seconds. Boost. 8.5, or do second. Asterisk, I imagine these being more rare. And then I'm going to add this option for like a bakery pastry. I spelled pastry wrong, sorry. There we go. And then, really? Pastry, no E, got it. Line or dash, and then we want to say like a 5-second boost, comma, 6.5 liters per second. Regular bakery. To make, we'll say 3 to 10 different items. Okay. Nice. There we go. I think I got a picture of the can up here. This is the first can. So anyway, you can imagine it. And so what I want to do is create a thing which is going to be on the Powerup manager. And so this guy spawns these in, and it needs to know about the asset. So what we're going to do is create an asset ID. So we're going to say asset ID colon. Now asset IDs are big ints, and the only way to store, the only way to store a big int in a property is to use a string. So we're going to have to do prop types dot string, and then comma default colon, and now we can copy this up, Control C, Control V, and comma. And so now we can make this Powerup manager customizable, and I'll show you what that's going to look like in a second. So first we need to get this energy drink asset fixed. And to do that, we're going to say that it is of type asset or undefined. Then we're going to delete this, Control X, and then on start, we're going to call energy drink asset equals, and then Control V. There we go. And then we need to reference our props dot asset ID. And now this could cause an issue if you put in an invalid ID, but we're going to assume it doesn't. And so this will just work. That's cool. Control save. So then let's create a new local method called spawn asset, parentheses, curly braces, and we're just going to move this line of code down here. Now we're going to then use if energy drink asset, which potentially saves us even in instances where we provide an invalid asset ID. And now we can call spawn asset, and then what we need to do is somehow know when this asset gets despawned, and I feel like there's a way to do that. Let's see if I can figure it out. I'm just going to try to figure it out on the fly. So we're going to call this asset despawns, parentheses, it's going to receive the entity, which is a type entity, curly braces, and then we'd say despawns, despawn, asset, use deleted, asset deleted, deleted from world, sure. And then we're going to say if, parentheses, and then what we can do is create another Control C, Control V of this, and say energy drink entity, and then change this to be of type entity, or undefined, and then we can say if energy drink entity triple equals entity, then we know we've got a match, and we can then say spawn asset, and parentheses, and we can also see that spawn asset returns a promise of an entity array, and so we'll need to do this as an async function, so that way we can say constant spawned asset equals await, and that's going to return the entities after a delay, and we can then say energy drink entity equals spawned asset item at index 0, because this is an array, but it really is just one item because we only have one item in our asset. If we had multiple items inside of there, there would be multiple items in this list, but we're just going to use the one. And I recommend doing that for most asset spawning purposes to make your life feel a lot easier. But now that we got this energy drink entity set up, we can then check it when it gets deleted. And let's see. Asset deleted from world. We want to then respawn an asset. So this is the idea, is that this is a bakery asset. So I wanted to create an option in here called is stationary. Is stationary will be a type colon prop types dot boolean comma default colon true and comma and control save. And so this position is the spawn position. So we're going to say if parentheses props dot is stationary, then we'll actually do if not stationary, and then add a note here to calculate position on NavMesh. And then we're going to say right here, let's say spawned asset. This is the spawn, use let spawn position equal, and then we're going to create an origin position. So origin position equals vec3.0 by default. And then on world start, we're going to set it. So right here, control X, this is going to be that spawn position, and then this is going to be origin position, and then we can change it to not be origin position inside of here, but right here on world start, we do need to set what origin position is, and so we'll do that right before spawning the asset. So I'm going to say origin position equals this.entity.position.get. There we go. And there we go. So now we need to figure out how to get asset deleted from world. Now I'm pretty confident, but not very sure. Pretty confident, maybe, I suspect, I'm not quite sure, that there is a code block event. So we're going to say connect code block event, this.entity, control Z, entity, comma, and then code block events dot, and we're looking for asset despawned. Would you look at that? Wow, it really does exist. And that word, we're going to go ahead and say spelling, add words to user settings. Okay, and then comma, parentheses, it receives the entity and the asset. Now we're just going to use the entity. Arrow function, curly braces, and then we want to call, we're going to copy this naming convention just like we've always done on the connecting a code block event, so control C. We're going to rename this to be A, control V, so it's lowercase, camel case, asset despawned, and now we can just call asset despawned, parentheses with entity. I see there's a mistake here. This should be entity. Why is it not? Entity, there we go. Semicolon, and another semicolon there, because I like them. Shift-Alt-F, Control Save, and double check that that says entity, and it does. Perfect. So that should allow us to regularly have this asset respawning. And we'll just need to add a NavMesh option, which is kind of a fun thing to do, so that shouldn't be too hard. And so this asset doesn't have to be a speed boost. This asset could be a different power-up. And that's pretty cool. So each of these power-up managers is going to manage one asset. And theoretically, if I use not stationary, they'll place randomly, and I could have 10 of them, so there's 10 booping and bopping around, and for each of them there's one always available, which sounds pretty amazing. So for the super rare ones, maybe there's only 1 or 2. For the common ones, maybe there's 5 or 10, and so on. Pretty neat. Okay, so here's our asset spawning manager, and we've currently got our power-up manager. And I almost wouldn't call this a power-up manager anymore. But I suppose on the other hand, it does actually manage a specific power-up. So I guess we're okay. Okay, so we've got this set up. I want to take this and put it somewhere. So let's just drag it down to the grocery store for now. So slide, slide, slide. Moving things over here is a little bit more tricky, but we're almost there. Almost there, he says. Alright, so we got this energy drink, which we're going to place. Okay, that avatar there totally freaks me out. I was like, dude, who are you? What are you doing in this world? Okay, there we go, and up. Nice. Now let's shrink this down so we can see the drink when we hit play world. Ooh, it really doesn't let us, does it? Okay, hit play. There it is. Right click, preview from here. There it is, nice. And we're going to change the size of that and actually match it, but it's not bad. So I can grab that, press left mouse button. Nice. Super speed boost. Go tag some people. It's off. 10 seconds goes by really fast, actually. Like, wowza. I guess you really need to use it, like, time it properly. But the nice thing is it should have respawned. So let's go ahead and make sure it's in the store again. Boom, there it is. I'll buy another one of those. And I suppose for players, if they learn that they respawn afterwards... Okay, I'm infected, but none of the infected things are working. There's supposed to be a thing above my head. Weird. Not sure why that didn't spawn in. Okay, let's go get this guy. Oh, got him. Nice, that worked. Weird how his is working, but mine's not. The little display above my head. Somewhere in the backyard. Nice. Okay, that's working better than I expected. The infecting thing, I thought I was going to have to double it up. Right now it's checking once per second to see if you're close. I might be getting lucky. I'm thinking of doubling it to half a second. And I haven't finished the hide and seek for these NPCs. It's just really difficult, so just kind of working on that slowly but surely. So I do think for the speed boost to work properly, I'm going to have to change, like, let's go get it, and then see how quickly I can get these guys. Because having to stand next to someone for 1 second is a large portion of a 10-second power-up. Alright, so as soon as we get close, we'll use it. Ready, set, and go. Yeah, that takes a second. Come on. There we go. You gotta be real close to them. There we go. And next up. And power-up's done. Yeah, I almost feel like it's at a disadvantage because you're moving so fast, and there's that 1 second timer I need to go change to like half a second. Might change that real quick before we implement NavMesh. Pretty sure I still fall through this ground. Oh, no, that's fine. Oh, it was a different ground. It was the bakery, wasn't it? We're working on colliders to make this world a lot more optimized, because we have so much going on in it, but I think this ground is, yeah. As I suspected. As I suspected. Okay. I like that you can jump back in as infected if you accidentally leave or something. It's kind of nice. Okay, stopping world. It's like an accident. So we just need to calculate the point on the NavMesh. The power-up is done. There was one other power-up I'd like to build, but it's way more complicated. So kind of just not really wanting to build that. At least not right now. Let's see. So far, so good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So it's just that calculating position on NavMesh and then checking twice per second. So let's go find the game loop, which I believe has an infection function being called, which says update infection, which is coming from the game loop function. And so game loop function says, where's the update infection? Update infection, which is doing once per minute. And I basically just need to do this a little bit faster. Does infection function run by itself okay? Players to infect for each infected player. Update to get non-infected players. Infect player. Play pop-up. You've been infected. Play haptics. Set hat visibility. AFK counts after 5 seconds. Get non-AFK players. Get non-AFK infected. The big thing is to make sure that we're not updating any custom UIs in here. It doesn't look like it. So what I think I can do is call update infection. It does need to know the current time. It's not a requirement, but we can work on that. So instead of calling update infection here, let's find out current time is no longer being used. Okay. Let's actually Control Z, Control X that, backspace, Control Save, go back here, paste that in here, delete this one, Control Save, and then game loop function has per second loop, which is being called from the game loop entity, and if I just duplicate that line that creates the per second loop, Control C, Control V, I can create that loop, but for the infection function, Alt arrow up, dot, update infection, and we're going to update infection. I was thinking maybe 249. So the idea is that this is happening 4 times before this runs, and then every so often it'll sync up, but it should sync up a lot less frequently. So that they don't, like if this was 250, they'd be running, which could be competing, but this should be updating right before this updates, ideally, I think. I'm a little worried this might break something, because I did have it in a very specific spot, right? Like it's only updating infection when the game state is running, is where it was before. So I probably need to bring that back in. So Control C, head into the infection function, say if game loop state's running, curly braces, and then move all of this into that. Alt arrow up, backspace, then import these by backspacing enter, backspacing enter, there we go, Control save. Okay, that should work. And I just wanted to check that if this does update later, I guess it's checking the time. It would just be 1 second off, which is fine. It's not a big deal if it's off by just a hair. Okay. Alright, so that's the last thing we need to do is the NavMesh stuff. So play. Should be a lot easier to infect. Jump into preview mode. So the game gives you 45 seconds to find a hiding spot, which is nice. There we go. Hopefully my icon appears this time. And there are NPCs to play with, but it chooses a player, like a real player. It prioritizes real players over NPCs to infect. That's why I'm always infected. It's not like a bug or anything, it's intentional. Alright, so I got my speed boost, 14, 13, let's see if we can find some people. Where's it? 8, 7, 6. I love the smoke and how it makes it so hard to see. It's really cool. Alright, there's our first player, and they should start moving. Don't make it too easy on me, dude. Oh, that was way easier than I remember. Just a quick tap. 4 times a second will do that, I guess. Oh, and I do have the symbol above my head. Nice. Okay, so see people. Let's get closer, then use speed boost. Okay, speed boost. Tag, nice. Tag, nice. Oh, wow, that was working. Next, tag, nice. Okay, yeah, that's much better. And boom, got him. Yeah, that speed boost allowed me to hit 5. Okay, that turned off. Allowed me to hit 4 people. That was fantastic. Cool. So what I'm imagining is in the bakery, this is the only place that I really want to have one. I totally forgot about that. But in the bakery, that's where there'll be one that stays. And then this one is going to be random. So let's turn off his stationary. We might have like a weak energy drink or like a juice in the store, but only weak things will be easy to remember and find. Otherwise, they should be randomly placed. Now, to use NavMesh, it is difficult because we need to have a NavMesh. And the only place I have a NavMesh currently set up is in the NPCs. So if I go over to the NPC avatar, not this one, it's the next one, this one. Here, we create a NavMesh right here. And we use it. And so I want to read and see how we're using it, because we can just utilize it the same way. Let's see, it says pre-start, we need to do all this async stuff. I might just go ahead and copy and paste that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and grab all of this, Control-C, head over to Powerup Entity, and go to pre-start, change this to be async. We'll do connecting events first, and then we'll do setting up the avatar AI agent, which we'll need some variables for, which is these two, Control-C, and Control-V. Need to import that, backspace the T, backspace the H. There we go. Okay, so now this is saying Shift-Alt-F to format. Avatar AI agent is going to equal this.entity as an avatar AI agent. We don't need that. We can delete that. This is not an AI agent. We just need the NavMesh. So we need to call NavMesh manager, which we can import by doing that. And we get instance of this world. And then I created a NavMesh called NPC avatar, or is that the name of the, let's check, navigation? That's the name of the navigation profile, is NPC avatar. And so make sure those names match, and that will give you a navigation profile, which if I hit, let's go back to navigation, the view, you can see right there. And that's using a giant nav mesh. That's what that gray thing around us is. That determines the navigatable area. And so this space, anywhere that's orange, we're going to be able to use as a position to place our energy drink on. That's the goal, at least. And so we're going to potentially make a new one, actually. Let's go to our navigation, create a new profile, which we're going to call placeable. Placeable. And the agent height will be 0.2 meters. The agent radius will be 0.1 meters. The agent slope will be 45 degrees. The agent step height will be, we'll do a full 2 meters and press create. And so ideally this placeable is going to make a lot of this area accessible. So I need to hit rebake. And then that takes a second, but ideally we're going to be able to see a much bigger area. Might need to hit play world for this to work. There it is. So now all of these positions that are green are placeable areas. So we get like on front of the car and all of this good stuff, which is nice. Over here on the fruit stands. And yeah, okay, cool. So we're going to use placeable instead of NPC avatar. And then we can adjust the properties if we want to adjust where it can spawn, but let's go ahead and change that out to placeable. Placeable. Now you can make an area off limits, so let's demonstrate that real quick. So to pull out a NavMesh, like, is it possible to get on top of this roof? I don't know. I'd like to think so, but that could be a bit problematic. So let's go ahead and pull out a gizmo, and then we want to grab the navigation gizmo. Here it is, navigation volume. And so this navigation volume can be used to be inclusive or exclusive. And so we could actually make each building specifically, but let's just try exclusion first. So we stretch this out, select it, stretch it out. Come on, come on, there you go. And scale up a little bit, stretch it out. There we go. A little bit higher, slide it into position. Okay, so now this roof is off limits, right? Nice. We can make it a little bit more. Perfect. And grab the scale tools, scale that up just a hair. Okay, so now with that, we can then select it and change it from inclusion to exclusion, change it to only affect the placeables. And now, if we hit clear and play, we'll need to hit the rebake, which I think it actually does inside of this script. Rebake, yeah, so it's going to rebake it here. And I don't know how long it takes to rebake. Definitely never feels instant. Stop. Play. But maybe that is already good. I guess we didn't go down low enough to get this area. We need to go a little bit higher on that. There we go. And then now, let's go ahead and run that again. Refresh. I don't know how long it's going to take to update, but yeah. So we can see the roof is definitely not included anymore. And then after, oh, there it goes. So after some period of time, that disappears, and like that. Sweet. And so up here might be another area that we want to turn off limits. To be very honest, though, I think the exact opposite. Like, if there's an area where these things are going, I want to make it more possible to get there. Or, like, more of a challenge. Like, I think that's really cool, so we're not going to use that. But you could imagine using inclusion and just making each of the shops and each of the houses a place that's a valid area. Let's actually look inside the houses and see what it looks like in there. I'm surprised the nightstands and stuff aren't green, but yeah, it's good enough. Okay. I guess on top of some of these trees would be a little bit bad. Just a little bit. Okay, so now with that set up, we need to determine a location to spawn. Now that we have this NavMesh created, and we'll get an error if it's not found, we're then going to calculate a position on the NavMesh. So if we look in here, we can see that there's a, let's see if we can find it. Current position, move to position, get random direction. Let's see, it should be in here somewhere. Get random position in sphere, get nearest point. This is what we're looking for, get nearest point. So if we grab this line of code here, we'll just take most of this, Control C, and then go to our calculating position. We're going to change this to be spawn position, and then we can remove the destination position. So spawn position equals this dot navmesh dot get nearest point, and then question mark is because it could be undefined, and so we'll just use the origin position as the default option. And NavMesh should be defined because we define it up here, otherwise we'll get an error. So this question mark is just cautionary, I guess. Get nearest point equals this dot npc data dot destination position. No, we need to create a position that we want to get a nearest point to. So we need to find a position, and I have a utility function. I don't think I've given this one out yet because it's not really what I'd call finished, but it's called vector function. Maybe it is out there, I'm not sure. But we can get a random position in a sphere, and you kind of just give it a center, give it a radius, it calculates the distance, and then it gets a random direction, and it multiplies that, and that's how it gets a random position inside of a sphere. So if we know the center of the world, which I don't, but let's see if we can get the center of the world. So we're going to call vector utilities dot get random position in sphere, parentheses, and we need the center. So let's go find the center of this world. I think if we grab this navigation volume, the big one, this position, which I can copy position here, is the position of the center of this world. And so we'll go ahead and say, I'm going to create this above this because it's relevant to the spawning of assets. I'm going to say read only world center equals new vec3 parentheses control V, and then delete all the extra stuff that we don't need in there. There we go. And so that's the world center. I'll use Shift Alt F to reformat it. And then the Y value, I want to be the Y value of our object. And just for the sake of figuring out if it happens to be the same, let's scroll to the bottom of our hierarchy, selecting our Powerup manager, and we can see that it's at it's at 18. Let's just copy this value and utilize that as our Y value for all of them. And that should, and we don't need to be this precise, right? So we'll just go down to 2 decimal places of precision. That'll be our world center. And we can now throw that into this. So we're going to go ahead and throw in world center. And then the radius, we're going to set to be navigation volume. The scale is 250, so the radius of that is 125, would create a circle. So we'll use 125. All right, 125. There we are. And now that's going to place randomly somewhere out there. That's crazy. It's pretty cool. But that's it. Like, that's not too difficult. So what I'd like to do before we move on is make it actually give us a chance of finding one. So we're going to go to our Powerup manager, and we're just going to duplicate a few of these. Focus, and I can now move these to 0, 0, 0, but I'm going to leave this one here. Control D, and we're going to call this a delete later Powerup manager. So just for this demonstration, until I have time to actually finish it, we're going to keep this in here, and we're just going to Control D, Control D, Control D, and I don't think that'll be enough, so let's go Control D, one more set, there we go. So 16. Now go ahead and hit play, and jump into preview mode and give it a oh, let's turn that off. Navigation, turn off, and preview. Okay, there we go. So now we want to go find them. They should be out there somewhere. I guess I could have console logged where they were placed. Just keep our eyes peeled for cans. They could be in buildings. They could be on the street. There's 16 of them, so I expect to find them pretty quickly. Here. Alright, I'm infected. There's something I've been meaning to test, which is if I don't infect anybody for 30 seconds, it should automatically infect 2 NPCs, which is just to make sure, like, if somebody goes AFK or something, the game doesn't just die. Ooh, is that one? No. There's 16 out here, right? Am I just really bad at finding these? I guess they could go anywhere. 16 feels like a lot, but maybe it's not. Well, I guess I should be really glad I didn't do just one. Okay, I'm gonna go check the grocery store and just see that they're not all like in the same spot. Like the code just isn't running or something. I really expected that to work though. I keep expecting at any moment I'm gonna run into one and be like, oop, there they are. It's working. Oh no, there it is. There they all are. Are you kidding me? Why did they spawn there? Okay, gotta figure out that. We didn't get a console log that the NavMesh wasn't found, so what is it? Let's see. Asset ID, NavMesh. NavMesh is set up here. It's gonna be a place alarm defined. NavMesh.get nearest point. Otherwise use origin position. The random position, I see. The problem is the position is a sphere, which means it could also be up above, and we really need it to not be up above. So what we need to do is get the nearest point, but first let's get a random position. So we're going to say constant random position equals this. There, oops. Control Z, Control X, Control V. There we go. Okay, so we got the random position, and then we need to say random position dot y equals. Let's do 12, maybe 15. We'll go 14 plus, and then we'll use math.random. So math.random parentheses multiplied by, we'll do 8, and then put parentheses around this. Even though order of operations applies, I like to be clear about what's happening in what order. Makes it easier to read too. So 14 plus math.random times 8. That's going to return a random y position from 14 to 22. And I feel like it should go higher than that. So let's go to multiplied by 12. And then let's change this to check for positions within 25 meters. So it gets the nearest point within 25 meters of this random position. So we can now put in random position. And the fallback is origin position still, but it's very unlikely that we won't find a position within these bounds. Okay. That should do the trick. Clear. And this time, I'm going to start at the grocery store. But we should see this not do anything. So go ahead and hit play. And nothing spawned here. Perfect. As intended. Shift into preview mode. Wait. I totally just saw one there. What the heck? What the heck? Maybe we'll have to count and see how many bad positions were found. Crazy if there's a bad position. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know if I'm grabbing those. Let me just use them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't think I can use them fast. Okay, I didn't count how many that was, but That seemed like all of them. That didn't seem like it worked at all. What? What? We have his stationary set to false, for sure. Yeah. So if not stationary, it does random position, which is gotten from the world center with a radius of 125. Then changes the y value, so that the y is right there. Let's try this. Let's comment this out, // and let's paste this as spawn position, caps off, spawn position equals random position. And let's just see where these are showing up. And then, I don't think I'll need this, but in case I do, console.log parentheses spawn position. Like, let's just see where it is. Like, I think it's within 25 meters of anything based off the math here, but perhaps I'm wrong. Clear. Yeah, everything looks fine. Oh! Oh. The problem isn't the spawn position. The problem is the NavMesh hasn't loaded in yet because pre-start takes a minute to run because it's an async. So normally pre-start's guaranteed to finish before start, but in this case it's not because of the delay. So actually everything's fine. Okay, I feel better. Okay, so then all we need to do is spawn asset after all this. So we can probably move all of this from start up into pre-start. And that's just fine. So this will guarantee that it happens after all that's been done. Okay, clear, and play. Give that a second. Nothing is spawned here. That's a good sign. Yep, we can see energy drinks have spawned in. Jump into preview mode. Okay, let's see if we can find one of these energy drinks now. I will still... Ooh, is that one right there? It is! Nice. It's a little in the ground. Oh my gosh. Two right next to each other. I was really worried that 16 wasn't enough. Any spawn in here? Not a single one. Sweet. So we just need to increase the amount off the ground by a certain amount so that they don't spawn in the ground like this, because that's kind of silly. Why are they all right here, though? Like, I mean, they are all right here. Feels crazy. It's got to be just a coin. Oh, here's another one. Oh, interesting. Because I'm using them, the former ones are slowing me down before the first one is finished, or like the newest one is finished, because I have multiple. That's interesting. Interesting. Let's see. So 16 is too many. Unless we choose better hiding positions. I'm thinking the 125 might be too small. Because it's preferencing center positions. So let's change this to 200. And then change this to be 50. Be even 75. So it just really prefers positions. It'll prefer positions closer to the outside, which is better because they're hidden. And the other thought was Oh, we need to spawn it up by a little bit. So it's like the spawn position after we've determined it needs to be spawn position dot y plus equals, and we need to know the amount that we need to spawn up. So we're going to create a property for this. So Control C, Control V. This is going to be called up by, which will be a number. And so each one can have a different in case it's a different size. And so the default will be 0.2, 0.1. We'll try 0.1. And then we say plus equals props dot up by. There we go. So that should no longer spawn the ground. We could do some like ray casting to find hiding positions, so not positions that are out in the open. That seems like a little overkill. I thought this was going to be a really short tutorial. We're at an hour and a half now. Oops. So, whoops. We'll give that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think those are NPC errors. I'm going to hit refresh to fix that. Jump into preview mode. Alright, let's go see if we can find something. Is that an energy can right here? I don't hate that. There's another one over here. Are you kidding me? What the heck? Oh, we have that issue where if you power this one on and then grab this one, it'll slow you down if you try to use this one mid. There's another one in the middle. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking not as many of these. Like, I was thinking 16, but now I'm like, maybe just a few. These are too easy to find. But I kind of like it. And over time, they will get more and more hidden. So the easy ones that are out in the open will get picked up. And then they'll get hidden again. And the hiding positions that are really hard is where you're going to start finding them after a while of play. So it's like the first, when the world starts, they're pretty easy to find. Don't hate that. But I guess if everyone's finding them, they I don't know. Tag this guy. It's accurate. Oh yeah, so I keep getting that slowdown. So I don't want to get a slowdown if I am sped up. So what we need to do is solve for this problem in a creative way. And the asset despawning is usually when we slow the player down, but we don't want to slow the player down if they are currently being speed boosted. So this is where we're going to do that stuff that I talked about. So what we do is we create a new function file. So this is going to be called Powerup_func. And then open up Powerup_func. And Control A backspace, export, constant, Powerup_function equals curly braces. And then we need to create a function. And this function needs a name. Genuinely, I'm just going to copy from our, not Powerup manager, but our Powerup entity. Let's see if I can find that. Here it is. So speed boost is the function that we want to duplicate and then modify. So we're going to Control X. And so here we can see that we're calling speed boost, but we don't have a reference to it anymore. So we're going to have to recreate this, but I can just backspace this, paste. And now we've got a function speed boost, so we can export speed boost. We'll fix a lot of these errors in a second. So speed boost is now exported. We can then go up into here and then change this to be function, which is the Powerup function, Powerup function dot speed boost. Okay, so now this is happy. So this script will work. And you can imagine this Powerup function has multiple power-ups in it. And so we're calling speed boost. And the reason we're doing this here is it's going to allow us to do stuff globally. So this was previously happening on the entity. And so we needed to despawn the entity after the speed boost was used up, which is the next thing that we should do, which is actually pass in the parameter for the entity to delete. And so this is going to be the delete. We'll call this the asset to delete. which will be of type entity. And so this asset to delete, we were previously having to do it after a, sorry, I got a scan caller decline. We were previously having to do that after this delay, but we no longer need to do that. So we can actually paste this here and then move this to the just be at the very bottom. And there's a lot of things that were hidden inside of this. And so I've got a utility you can get called utility component. And if you install these two utility files and set them up correctly, which is to attach it to an empty object, you can then do this, component utility data dot component. And this, we can just add a question mark to, which just means I won't run if I don't have anything referenced. And so really it returns undefined, but the point is this will replace this everywhere. So we can delete that. Well, not everywhere. So we got world.delete asset. It replaces the ones for async, not the properties. So we'll have to work on the props in a second. And we don't need to set visibility, collidability, or force releasing because we are now going to delete it. And in fact, I'm going to move the delete all the way up to where those were at. I'm almost thinking force release might be nice to do, but we're just going to assume that when you delete it, it should be force releasing it. Player locomotion.speed, so we need to know the speed that we want to set. We need to know the position. Player data map we can import, so backspace the P, retype the P. Okay, so now we've just got a sound effect, we've got a length, and so we just got some things. Oh, pop-up function needs to be imported. Backspace the C, retype the C, nice. And so just a few things that need to pass in. So let's import player, there we go. And then the first thing we need to know is the position, which is no longer this dot entity, it's the asset to the asset to delete's position. So we can just paste that right there. Now we need to know the speed, so let's pass in the parameter for speed, which is a number. And we also need to know the sound effects, so we'll call it the use sound effects, which is an entity. And the last thing we need is the length in seconds, which is a number. And let's move use sound effects to be ahead of Control X, these numbers, and there we go. So now what we can do is delete speed, delete props, because that's just a parameter now. Do the same thing here. Action utilities does need to be imported. There we go. Use sound effects is there. Length is good. And another length. There we go. Alright, so this function is now set up. It's a little bit of work, but this is how I would have normally written it from the beginning, but I wanted to show you how to do it without having to create this kind of complex thing. And but anyway, now we're going to go ahead and pass in the rest of the parameters. And so the next parameter we need to pass in is self, which is this dot entity. We then need to pass in the props dot use sound effect. We then need to pass in the speed, which is props dot speed. And the final one is props dot length in seconds. And this use sound effects we can verify before passing it in by hitting Control C, but we kind of want to make sure that it functions even if you do forget to reference the sound effects. So let's just go over here and change it to be entity or undefined. There we go, Control save. And this had already checked for its validness here, so that's good too. All right, Control save, all's good. Whew. So now that this is set up, this allows us to make sure that the player doesn't lose their speed if they're currently being boosted. And so to do that, we need to know when this async thing, if you hover over it, it returns a call, like an ID, which you can then clear. And so if we create a map called constant player speed boost async ID map, which equals a new map of player mapped to a number, and then parentheses, we can then utilize this map to clear previous speed settings. So right here we can say we need to know the value, which is going to be timeout. So we'll say this is constant timeout ID equals, and so timeout ID will be a number. And then we can go down here and say, and why does it say undefined? Oh, because we have a question mark here on component. Let's get rid of all the question marks on component by simply doing enter if parentheses component utility data dot component curly braces, and then shift all of this into that, and delete the extra spaces, delete the extra space, and then we can delete the question marks after component. So just highlight that to see them. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Any I missed? Doesn't look like it. Perfect. So now this is definitely not defined. It's absolutely going to be a number, which then allows us to say player speed boost async ID map dot set the player's value to be the timeout ID. And now that we've got this timeout ID, we can then say when the player is set back to 4.5, the player speed boost async ID map dot delete parentheses player, because the timeouts occurred. And so then what we can do is right before creating this, we can say if, or we can say constant previous timeout ID equals player speed boost async ID map dot get parentheses player. And so what this will do is it's going to return a number if they've used it in the last 10 seconds and not if they haven't. And so we can say if parentheses the previous timeout ID does not equal undefined, oopsie, Control-C, undefined, then we can call component dot async dot clear timeout parentheses, and then pass in that previous timeout ID. There we go. And so that should prevent us from slowing down when we use multiple. So let's give it a shot. Clear, clear. I am going to delete half of these to see if that looks better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And delete. Right click. Delete selection. Okay, so there's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus the original is just 9. Okay, and play, preview. Let's go ahead and try this out. So last time there was, we'd occasionally see some of those on the edges. That was kind of cool. Not this time. I see one over there in the woods though. But yeah, let's give this a go. So if I grab this one, use it. 1, 2, 3. Grab, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We previously slowed down right about now. No slowdowns, we're still going. And we can jump. Oh, missed the jump. Jump. Ooh, is that jumpable? Yeah, it is. It's just a hard jump. Gonna get better at that. And let's see if we can find another can. Like, yes, I do expect them to sometimes be in houses. But I think they're a lot easier to spot out in the open. Like, here's another one. Nice. That's so fun. And then they replace themselves automatically right after they've been used. That's kind of cool, too. Oh, I keep setting off car alarms. It's like a 15% chance. Oh, I'm slowed down now. Oh, yeah, that was fun. Cool. I think we're done. I think, you know, you can extrapolate from this. I think a homework item would be build a different power-up. So here we got the speed boost power-up. Consider building like a jump power-up or something very similar that, you know, is just player.jump, or it's gravity, player.gravity.set. Stuff like that to be really fun. But yeah, there we go. I can't believe it. And Rex and I are getting ready to launch this world, hopefully sooner than later. We're just finishing some kinks. So I hope to see you here when we launch. And without further ado, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!